Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Liam Jenkins and welcome to another video here on Philly Sports Network. Bit of a different one coming at you today where I just want to sit down and have a chat with you about a move the Eagles made yesterday. Now, that move is the signing of veteran quarterback Joe Flacco. I would have put a video up, but the Flipping the Birds guys stole the spotlight with an amazing interview with Eagles linebacker Sean Bradley. If you haven't checked it out, there is a link down in the description. Make sure you go check it out. But I think that this move has been received both very positively and very negatively by different areas of the Philadelphia Eagles fan base. Some thrilled that someone who's a former Super Bowl MVP, an 11-year veteran, is now backing up Jalen Hurts, who of course is entering his second year, his first full one as an NFL starter. Then there are the other guys who see the contract and they see a few more of the red flags. And believe me, there are some red flags, and I think that not all of them are being spoken about. Just want to take some time to go over them, if that's okay with you guys. If it is, make sure you leave a like, hit that subscribe button, let me know what you think about this move, because it has caused a lot of discussion, which I don't think a lot of teams can say when they bring in a veteran quarterback who is clearly at the tail end of his career. And that's where I want to start this off. The Eagles have made a very, very clear inclination with this move that Joe Flacco is not going to come in and compete for a spot with Jalen Hurts. But therein lies sort of the main concern with Joe Flacco. There is a lot of experience. Of course, he was a Super Bowl MVP with the Baltimore Ravens, had an extensively successful career there. That moved to Denver and then the New York Jets, where his career has slowly tailed off. He was obviously benched. We had Lamar Jackson come through, then he backed up Drew Lock, and then whatever happened in New York happened, where he completed 55% of his passes on a putrid offense. Not great under anyone's estimation, but Flacco's career has tailed off, so that experience will provide a wealth of insight to Jalen Hurts. Surely it will be a bank of information that the former Oklahoma Sooner would love to tap into, or just to kind of dig through. There's going to be so much in there, from various playbooks to various offenses to just stuff Flacco's seen on the field, and maybe relationships, maybe chemistry, maybe things with other teams. That there is a lot he can draw from here. It's a perfect scenario if Joe Flacco's head is in the right space, and that's the main thing. When he was in Baltimore, okay, Joe Flacco wasn't the biggest fan of backing up Lamar Jackson, wasn't his biggest supporter, okay, didn't want to develop the man that the Ravens had drafted. So then he gets out of there, he realizes his future's done, he's going to go to Denver, where Drew Lock comes in. And in his own words, he's not here to develop Drew Lock, he's here to win football games. Not what you want from a mentor there, is it, really? I can't remember Joe Flacco having a good dynamic for a long time. Like, I know obviously back in Baltimore he did, because he was on top of the world. How wouldn't you have a good dynamic there? The same way when Carson Wentz was MVP, no one really cared about anything else. Flacco then goes to Denver. He rips into Rich Scangarello. That didn't take long. Someone that was later hired by the Eagles tears into him. Those two didn't see eye to eye. Then he goes to New York and just nothing really happened. It stagnated. Now, the Eagles paid Flacco a substantial amount of money. Okay, we are talking $3.7 million for a backup quarterback, when last year he played under a $1.5 million deal. And played terribly. And we're talking about a guy that had 800 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and his lowest passer rating since 2017. That, of course, led the Ravens to draft Lamar Jackson to begin with. So the reason that Flacco got that $1.5 million deal was because he was coming off of an injury and was a bit shit. Then he is utterly shit in New York, and now he gets a pay upgrade. And the only reason I can think, and I'm hoping that this is the case, is that it's to incentivize him to mentor Jalen Hurts, to actually become a mentoring quarterback, as opposed to one that wants to go out, compete, play the ace of spades by Motorhead, and just launch balls and hope he gets a starting role. This has to be a conceited effort by the Eagles to say, look, if we pay you more, are you going to shut up and help Jalen Hurts and stop being a baby? I hope that's the case, because if it's not, and they've drastically overpaid for someone, like they've done this before. They did it with Chase Daniel. Like, somehow Chase Daniel is in the Sam Bradford conversation of making a ton of money that no one really understands how or why. Because he's been a clipboard holder. But Daniel had worked under Drew Brees. Daniel had worked under Alex Smith. There was a difference there. You haven't seen that with Flacco. This is a starter that refuses to let go of that bone, as he shouldn't. He is a pedigree. He's one of the very few quarterbacks in the NFL that has sustained a career as well as he has, let's be honest. And it becomes an addiction at that point. Like, you don't want to be told you can't start at your job anymore. You don't want to be told you're not good enough to play when you've got Tom Brady doing his thing. You don't want to be told that you're not the guy and they're going to bring in a replacement. I get it. I'm not mad at Joe Flacco for that. But what I do think is that if you're the Eagles and you're looking for a quarterback to back up Jalen Hurts under a clear guise, and you pass on someone like Brissett, who backed up Phillip Rivers and who has backed up Andrew Luck, and you pass on someone like Tyrod Taylor, who has previously been a backup and has done so very well and very supportingly since his days in Buffalo, and you bring in a guy that has a history of not doing that, it's not great. It's really not great. And there are other guys out there that would have fit that bill a lot better, that have backed up veterans, that have backed up younger quarterbacks, have been around the NFL, not particularly great, but they're clipboard holders. And I think that now it paves the way for the Eagles to obviously draft a developmental quarterback, the guy they'd probably sub in. They needed a Josh McCown. That was the guy they needed. They needed someone of that level, a Josh McCown type quarterback. The quarterback they got is the furthest thing from it, unless a man can change his stars. And I think he could. I think Joe Flacco could change his stars. He could absolutely become the guy that helps Jalen Hurts and goes to practice with him before the rest of the team come out and will sit with him in meetings and try and help him digest information. But the track record isn't there. And the other worrying thing is that we go back to the Eagles last year and why they fell apart, and they hired an offensive coordinator by committee that was utterly dreadful. Marty Moninveg, who of course was Lamar Jackson's offensive coordinator in 2018, where Joe Flacco got benched, and then Rich Scangarello, who was the offensive coordinator for Denver in 2019. A situation where they were facilitating Drew Lock and having a lot of play action. You had obviously the dual threat of Lamar Jackson. I did a really big busty breakdown on why Scangarello and Moninveg, why they were brought in. Now, that never materialized. What that aim was never came to fruition. And that's for a million different reasons. What strikes me as very weird, though, is that Joe Flacco played under Moninveg, played under Scangarello, has played in the Jets where Joe Douglas. I feel like that the Eagles aren't going to let it go. There is an element there of wanting a certain type of play. And you can't ask Flacco to come in and be a coordinator. You can't ask him to come in and share all of that knowledge. But there has to be a little bit of this is more than a coincidence. And this is a guy that is now coming in and has all this knowledge of the exact thing we tried to. He was the quarterback in both systems we've been trying to implement. Now we've got a new coaching staff, so we can't put the coordinators in, but let's just give a little insight and knowledge there. See if we can, put some salt bay on this and see what we can create. That worries me, because that's the Eagles potentially not letting go of a concept that didn't work. Now, I hope that's not the case. I hope I'm overthinking this. Sort of my job as an analyst, but I don't know. There is something about him that just doesn't sit right. He shouldn't have been paid $3.7 million with an additional $4 million in incentives, regardless of if he'll reach them or not. Okay? That doesn't make sense to me. He shouldn't have been paid it based on merit, based on leadership, based on the fact that he was absolutely dreadful last year. Unless they are sweetening a deal for him to come in and play nice, which you shouldn't need to do. If you have to bribe someone to be nice to someone else, they're not a nice person. That's not someone you want to mentor. So I'm not about this move. I really don't like it. It's the first move in a long time. I'm going to go out there and say I do not agree with it. There were better candidates out there, cheaper candidates out there, or arguably a little bit more expensive ones who don't have a track record. I hope Joe Flacco changes his stars. I hope that he can go out there and be the nicest, most wholesome king in all of Philadelphia. Will he do it? Is anyone's guess. And I think that with a team that's trying to rebuild the way the Eagles are, it's an unnecessary risk to take, which has very much been the theme recently. But on that note, again, I would love to know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments section below. From myself, Liam Jenkins, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'll see you soon. There'll be an Anthony Harris film room coming on the way tomorrow. Stick around for that one. We've got mock drafts coming too. I'll see you soon.